Well, good morning and welcome once again to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. I want to welcome you to today's show. I thought what I'd do today, because we've got some time and I've had some questions asked of me, is share some of the basic fundamentals of New Thought in a way, because many of you that watch this show, I'm finding out, don't come from a New Thought background, and that's a good thing. So we'll kind of get into some of the aspects of it. And I want to start off with a line that the late Reverend Ike used to say. He used to say, "You can't lose with the stuff I use." And boy, that is a true statement that he spoke for many years. And as he taught over the many, many years that he taught, and he had a very large church in New York City, and I believe it's still in existence, and he had a TV show, and he spoke around the country. He taught people the basic fundamentals. He called it the science of living, but it was still another aspect of the New Thought teaching and philosophies. And it is. You can't lose with this stuff if you put it into practice in your life. But you got to start somewhere. And so today we're going to start with a definition out of the textbook that was written, what we call the textbook, that was written by Ernest Holmes. The actual title of the book is The Science of Mind. And if you were to flip to the back of the book and you looked up a word called truth in the glossary, here's what you'd read. Truth, that which is, and it's absolute. It is the reason, the cause, and the power in and through everything. It is breathless, birthless, deathless, changeless, complete, perfect, whole, self-existence, causeless, almighty God, spirit, law, mind, intelligence, and anything and everything that implies reality. By a process of axiomatic reasoning, we arrive at the conclusion that spirit, that's God, knows nothing outside of itself. The truth is that which is, and being that which is, it must be infinite and all. Being infinite or all, the truth can have nothing outside of itself other than itself, or unlike itself, by which to divide itself. Consequently, the spirit is indivisible, changeless, and complete within itself. Itself is all that is, both cause and effect, the Alpha and the Omega. I may have tripped up a little bit as I was reading over that, but the basic understanding is when we come to this understanding of the truth as the absolute, it is the complete oneness. Some of the words that I used from that definition out of the glossary were words like spirit and reality and first cause. But one of the words is the word God, and that's a word that most people have some understanding of at some level. Oftentimes we think of God as being, a personage of sorts. In New Thought, we don't see God quite that way. We have an understanding, and this is why I started off with the definition of truth. We have an understanding that there is nowhere that God is not, that God is everything. As Ernest Holmes said, it's the Alpha and the Omega. God is all knowledge, God is all power, and God is everywhere present, nowhere where God is not. And when we have that kind of understanding, all of a sudden when we begin to look around us, there's no part, no aspect of our life that is not some aspect or some part of the divine that we call God. That changes our whole perspective on how we see the world. In New Thought, we talk about practicing the presence of God. And that means being aware all the time, that whatever we're experiencing in our life, God is a part of that experience because we are some part of that individualized mind that is manifest as us. What happens, though, a lot of times we don't make that connection. And we have to, in our own way, find our path to this understanding, and oftentimes we refer to it as being in a certain level or degree of ignorance, but Ignorance not in the negative sense of the word, but ignorance just in the sense of the word that we just don't have an understanding. We haven't been exposed to it. We haven't had a consciousness of it. But I want to ask you for a minute, have you not, if this is your first time watching this show, if you've had no experience with New Thought, or if you have had experience with New Thought or Science of Mind or Divine Science or Unity, have you not at some point in time felt that spark within yourself, a feeling that there's something more that's there, that I am more than I think I am, but I don't know quite exactly what that is? Well, that is the beginning of the journey that sets many people on the path to New Thought, to Science of Mind. But I want to read something here. This is out of the Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes says, ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision towards the Spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. What we now experience, we may cease to experience if we have the will and the imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and to hold it there. Coming from the old understanding of the old paradigm of God being a personage of sorts to an understanding of God being a presence. And that's what he's talking about. It is the office of the imagination, our imagination, to set the vision. The will should hold it in place until the creative genius of the inner life transforms the image of limitation and transmutes it into liberty under the law. In other words, what we're saying is when we get to this understanding of God being everywhere, it takes us out of the bondage that we have been in, that has held us back, that which has kept us oftentimes in a consciousness of being a victim to circumstance, that life somehow happens to me and that I have no control over my life. Well, when we come to an understanding that God is everywhere, that I am some part of this divine, and I am in a coexistence, an individualized expression of the divine, then how empowering is that? All of a sudden, I'm no longer a victim. I become a co-creator in my life. And as we walk our journey in New Thought, this is the underlying premise that supports everything that comes after, that God is everywhere and we are some part of that divine being as it expresses itself through us, and then we take that and in a level of consciousness, an awakening, if you will, an understanding that, oh my goodness gracious, here I am, and I can begin to just experience life at a whole different level. Now, that's great, and that's what Reverend Ike was talking about when he says you can't lose with the stuff I use, but you got to use this stuff. And oftentimes it's between the level of understanding what is and putting it into practice in our lives that we seem to get tripped up. So when we begin to work on this, we need to understand, first off, that we are not alone. And as we begin to walk our journey, we're probably going to stumble a little bit. You know, I want you to think back to the time, well, maybe you can't think back to the time when you were learning to walk, but I'm sure you've all seen children as they are learning to walk, and, you know, if they didn't stumble a little bit, they just wouldn't be normal. We all stumble as we begin to walk our path, we begin to walk our journey, and you know, first we crawl, and then we walk, and then we run, and it's the same way as we begin to discover the trueness of who we are. We first begin to crawl, and in that crawling, that's when we begin to understand that God is all, and I am some part of that God. And And as we begin to crawl, then we start working on walking. And when we get to this walking thing, well, you know, that's the stage where we begin to realize that you are a co-creator of the universe that you live in. Now that, for some, may seem like a heck of a statement to make, but you know, it really is. You are the co-creator of the world that you live in, from the little bit to the big bit. And if you're looking at the world around you today and you're going, you know, Rev Steve, this isn't the exact world that I want to live in. Well, it's not what's outside of you that's going to change that world. It's what is within inside of you. It is what we often refer to as the Christ consciousness, the God within, that is where you start with the change in the world. You begin to see that change within yourself. You begin to work with that change within yourself, and it begins to manifest outside you, because life ultimately mirrors back to us where we're at in consciousness inside. So as we move along, I want to move along here and read something that says, thought can attract to us that which we first mentally embody, that which has become a part of our mental makeup, a part of our inner understanding. Every person is surrounded by a thought atmosphere. This mental atmosphere is a direct result of his consciousness and unconscious thought, which in its turn becomes the direct reason for and the cause of that which comes into his life. Through this power, we are either attracting or repelling. Like attracts like, and it is also true that we may become attracted to something which is greater than our previous experience by first embodying the atmosphere of our desire. Now, about 6 years ago, there was a movie that was released called The Secret. There's been several other movies that have come out either a little before or after. There's been movements and books that have been out on positive thinking, positive consciousness, and you know, there's some people, and you may know some people, that have watched the movie, read the books, put the stuff into practice in their lives, and just taken off like a rocket set for the moon, and off they go. But maybe you tried to put it into practice in your life, and maybe it didn't quite work like you'd expected it. I hope you didn't get discouraged, but I've run across a lot of people that have. They say, you know, Steve, I tried this, I put it into practice in my life, and it never got off the ground. I'm stuck, and I don't know, you know, if this stuff really works. Maybe it really doesn't work at all. I know it doesn't work for me. But what happens is, when we begin to put that in consciousness, we are creating a consciousness of, it doesn't work for me. And that's not true. It works for everybody. But it is a process. And you have to start, and you have to commit to it. We're going to talk a little bit about it when we come back. We're going to talk about some of the principles involved, the law of attraction, the law of supply. These are things that when we begin to understand, and we begin to understand that there is a law of thinking, that when we hold in our thought, in our consciousness, a certain thought, a certain trend of thinking, if you will, that becomes the creative force, so to speak, in our lives. And so we have, this is where we really start to put all this into practice, is within our thinking. And so we're going to break away here to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the law of attraction and the law of thinking and how it affects our life. So I will see you when we come back from commercial.
I cannot believe how expensive funerals are today. Nancy said she spent more than $12,000 on John's service. And when Mom took ill, we went to Sterling & Smith and prearranged her funeral for less than half of what Nancy spent. Sterling & Smith has a beautiful facility, professional staff, and packages that start below $3,000. It was more than a funeral. It was truly a celebration of life.
At Sterling & Smith, we believe that a high-quality service should be affordable to everyone. Let us help you plan for the inevitable. Call us today, because you just don't know about tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Greg Rude, a local real estate agent working with London Properties. You might be thinking about buying or selling a property right now, or maybe you just have a question about real estate. I'd love to help you with that. Give me a call at 352-7716, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Maybe you've got a property that's upside down. Maybe you're interested in buying a bank foreclosure and have a question about that. Or maybe you just like someone to show you some houses that you're interested in or have a question about a particular property. Once again, give me a call. My name's Greg, 352-7716, and I'd love to help you. Thanks.
This just in. Tower District houses are selling for as little as $300 per month. If you have a job and decent credit, you can own your own home. If you can come up with a down payment, you can own a home a lot cheaper than you can rent, and your payment will never go up. Also, you could deduct most of your house payment from your income taxes. If you'd like to lock in your monthly house payment at $300 to $500 per month for the next 30 years, call Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Hi, I'm Jason Gobelli, and I'd like you to take just a minute and ask yourself a couple of questions. Are your needs being met in the real estate business? Are you getting all the latest technology that you need to be productive in this market? Are you getting the benefits that you deserve? Do you have enough leads? Are you truly making enough money for all that hard work and time you've been putting in? If not, you might want to give me a call and we can set up a confidential interview. At Connect Realty, we're one of the fastest growing companies around. There's tons of tools and benefits for agents, like freerealtor.com showcase listings, free unlimited virtual tours, free websites with nationwide IDX. We have free virtual back office, free compliance coordinators so that you can be paid right away. There's health insurance, life insurance, and the best part is the commissions start from 80% and go to 95%. And we have one of the best retirement plans in the whole industry. Now, I cannot possibly go over everything in just this short minute. Go to the website, careers@connectrealty.com, or feel free to call us at the toll-free number, or you can even call my personal line, 559-307-0550. I look forward to talking to you. Thanks.
This segment is brought to you by Corrine Hatfield of Platinum Mortgage. If you are thinking of purchasing a new home or refinancing an existing home, call Corrine Hatfield at 917-7111.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And you can't lose with the stuff I use, so says the late Reverend Ike, and that's what we're talking about today. And it is an inside game. It is a game of consciousness, if you will. And for those of you that have not had any exposure to this, I'm trying to lay out today a basic understanding of how thought, thinking, the law of attraction, the universal creative force that we call God, all comes together in each and every one of us, that in such a way that we can be the creative force in our life. Ernest Holmes once wrote, "It is our oneness with the universal spirit which makes our thought creative. As has been often stated, we do not hold thoughts, nor do we mentally coerce. What we do is realize truth within our own minds. Because our minds are a part of the universal mind, the truth which we realize becomes as effective as is the embodiment of our realization. By the embodiment of our realization, we mean the actual subjective acceptance of our desire." And so we know that everybody automatically attracts to themselves just what he is, what he thinks he is, or she thinks he is. And we call that a trend of thought or a trend of consciousness. And this is part of what we call the law of thinking. What you hold in thought all day long. I want you to take a moment while we're having this discussion today. Take a moment and just reflect on how it is that your day goes. Do you think about all the good stuff that you've got going on in your life? Are you thinking about how grateful you are for the good that you experience? You know, there are some people that when they begin to come to this consciousness, they don't have what we'd call a lot of material wealth in their life, or maybe their life has been a struggle to this point. But when they begin to realize that whatever it is that they've got, however much or however small it is, that they are blessed with that, and they begin to they begin to bless the good that they have. This is putting the law of thinking into effect in our lives, because the more I bless, the more gratitude I have for the things that I can see in my life that I would experience and call good. There is a force in the universe, and we call this spirit or God or universal intelligence or whatever, but it begins to respond. And it begins to respond in a way, oftentimes in a way that we kind of think is even on the miraculous side. But people that experience this on a regular basis, they don't see this as being miraculous. What they see is this is what we call God in action, God responding to. God does respond to our thought, our thinking, and our trend of thought. And we see this played out, and this is something that we call the law of attraction. Just like the law of gravity, it is very real. If you can't see gravity, but if you think you can break the law, you're welcome to go out and try it. But what will happen is it's gonna come up and bite you real quick, because you're gonna step out into something, or you're gonna drop something thinking it's not gonna break, that it's just gonna stay out here in the air, and it's gonna fall, because there is a law of gravity. We don't know why gravity is what it is. Scientists are beginning to discover the how, but they don't know why. We don't know why electricity works the way it is. We don't know why many of the things in the universe are the way they are. But we're beginning to work on, through science, discovering the how. And this is the way it is also with the law of attraction. We don't know why it works. I mean, we know it works because we see the effects of it working in our lives. But just like the law of gravity, we don't know the underlying why. But because we know it works, we have a supposition, just like we have a supposition about gravity. And the supposition is that it is God working in response in the law of cause and effect. And as I put out a vibrational thought for good in my life, I set out a harmonic frequency, if you will, in the universe, and it vibrates in alignment back, and more good comes back to me. This is where Reverend Ike really began to take his teaching and bring it to individuals. You understand where he taught, where his center is, where his church is in New York City. It's not in the high rent district. You know, it's in an area where people have had to struggle for various reasons. And many, many, many people came to Reverend Ike. They came with skepticism. They began to listen to what he had to teach. As he began to teach them, it's what they think about themselves, that there is a creative force in the universe that responds. And when they begin to know that they are some aspect of the divine, when they begin to understand that God is not only around them, through them, but they are some part of God itself manifest as them, and God provides for all of God's creations when you open yourself up into alignment with it. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we grow up with an understanding that God is somewhere else. We have some degree of separation between us and God. And as a result of that, oftentimes when life gets tough and things get a little hard, where do we turn? Do we pick up the spiritual phone and dial 911 and hope that God's going to answer? Well, if that's the belief that you have in God, that's the experience you're going to get. And God may not choose to answer you because God's out there busy taking care of something else. But if you understand that God always answers prayer, that understanding is a thought that we hold in consciousness. When that thought that we hold in consciousness becomes part of your foundational makeup, then you will have that knowing, and you'll know that God in fact does answer prayer, and you will begin to see that response take place in your life. That's powerful stuff. Law of attraction. And in today's world, and you know, today's world, it's always today's world, no matter when today is. And oftentimes, you know, for each and every one of us, our world today can be a world of joy, or it can be a world of lack and limitation. But it's the world that we create. But as we as individuals begin to get this, and this is really exciting for me. Now I want you to understand that each and every one of you out there that's watching today, and the people that you come into contact with, maybe you choose to share these thoughts with people. As we all begin to understand that we have the ability to be the creative force in the universe, that thought is not just a fleeting neural response inside my head, but thought truly is something, and it is a creative something. And as I begin to think and I begin to create, and you begin to think and you begin to create, and we begin to understand that we're all part of the one, there is a unity of all, and we are a family. Not a family just here, but a family universally. Then there is a response in consciousness, a response in mind, a response in what we call God. And people that don't necessarily have an understanding of what it is that we are learning, we are experiencing, we are expressing, and we are putting into practice in our lives, they begin to get it on some level. They begin to be touched on a level of consciousness, and there is a change, there is a shift in consciousness. We want peace in the world, we want love in the world, we want abundance in the world, we want harmony in the world. It's here for us right now. Each and every one of us can begin to work to create that, and as we do begin to work and create that peace, that love, that harmony, we will see it made manifest in a greater expansive area, just by the mere fact that we hold that in consciousness, because life will mirror back to us what it is that we hold in mind. But we've got to hold it, we've got to work it, we've got to want it, and we've got to be it. And being it is where we begin to, if you will, start to put it into practice. So we get up, we say, okay, you know, I have lived my life to this point, and I've made mistakes, and I've got myself in trouble, and I've got all this stuff going on, and what the heck am I going to do? And I'll tell you, here's what you're going to do. You're going to stop right now. You're going to affirm that I am a creation of a loving Father, a loving God, a loving Goddess, whatever word that the divine is defined in your mind. You are going to affirm that you are a creation, a part of, an expression of, you are the son, the daughter of, the child of this creative universal force. And as you begin to affirm that, I'm going to ask you to make a commitment right now, to make a commitment to not only once, but on an ongoing basis, every day, make that affirmation. I am a son, a daughter of a loving God. I am a son or daughter of the creative force of the universe, and as such, I am an expression of the divine as me. Wow. You know, for someone that has grown up in a different theological paradigm, that can be quite a shift. But as you begin to do that, you begin to focus your mind on that understanding. And that goes back to what I was reading in the first segment, this understanding of what truth, the absolute, is. And we are that. And looks like we're about ready to come up on a commercial break, so I will pick this up when we come back to the other side. Thank you.
Sterling & Smith is the Valley's leader in providing high-quality funeral and cremation services at affordable prices. We offer personalization, customization, and value for every family. With locations in Fresno and Tulare to serve you, you can rest assured that our caring and compassionate staff will be here to help you plan an appropriate celebration of life. We are committed to excellence and guarantee that we will not be beat on price or service. Let us help you plan for the inevitable. Call us today, because you just don't know about tomorrow. Sterling & Smith is the Valley's leader in providing high-quality funeral and cremation services at affordable prices. We offer
Mike Briggs Properties has a very special historic property for sale that can be used as a home or as a business. This classic California craftsman historical home is located in the Tower District, Fresno High area. The interior ambiance displays a heyday of craftsman aesthetics, substance, strength, symmetry, and casual grace. Elegantly appointed mahogany and oak structural elements integrate form and function in a harmonious flow from room to room in this two-story, 4,500-foot home. The property also includes a nearly 800-foot two-bedroom apartment above the garage. This property is well suited for a professional office type of business or for a large family or combined living and workspace. The lot included with this property is park-sized with plenty of room for expansion or as a parking lot big enough to support a commercial business. For more information on this property, call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Welcome to Johnny's Porch.
About that.
We have been doing this for a
that.
year. My memory of the porch is that it's very much where women ruled. It was almost a throne.
You going like this?
Oh, I'm circular. See, Southern folks are circular. What you said, preach. You want me to preach? Love sharing those things and those things that'll make you stronger and better and go for. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Hey, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody. Okay, no more drama. To myself, I said self. Myself said yeah.
That was a good one.
That was good, girl. I'm good. I'm for you become the best reflection of yourself. And what was that? The one God intended all along. We're gonna get there together, I promise you. Thank God for the post. Amen.
You can advertise your business, your product, or your event on Central Valley Talk, the Valley's only internet television station. Several of our programs are also picked up on Dish and cable networks. For the best advertising dollar, call Central Valley Talk at 579-1360. This segment is brought to you by Blimpies in the Tower District. For all of your lunch and dinner needs, go to Blimpies in the Tower District.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back to our third segment today. This is New Thought Talk, and I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And welcome back. So, we were talking about, or I was talking about, how this whole understanding, this philosophy, if you will, of New Thought empowers us and can change our world. And I want to read you something here because this really, for me, just kind of nails it. And Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind, he says, we live in mind, and mind here, understand, is the creative force of the universe. And it can return to us only what we think into it. No matter what we do, law will always obtain. If we are thinking of ourselves as poor and needy, then mind has no choice but to return what we have thought into it. It is done unto you as you believe. Thoughts of failure, limitation, or poverty are negative and must be counted out of our lives for all time. And I'll read this again because this is important. Thoughts of failure, limitation, or poverty are negative and must be counted out of our lives for all times. As we begin to get this in understanding, we will begin to see it made manifest in our life experience. God has given us a power, and we must use it. We can do more towards saving the world by proving this law than all that charity has ever given to it. You know, it's the old story, if you feed a person a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life or her life. And this is the thing. When we can, and it's a good thing to have a charitable heart and set up charity, but if you can teach people And that's what I'm doing today, and that's what I do on Sunday is teach people to expose them to these principles in New Thought and religious science. The idea that there is a law of attraction, and when you realize this law, you put it into effect in your life, you will see the effects of how it works, and you can begin to change people's lives wherever they've lived, and it touches me in a way that I can't even begin to explain. When I can see somebody that has taken this philosophy and they've put it into practice. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to put this into practice. You don't have to be a super student. You just have to be somebody that has a level of desire to change their thinking so that they can change their lives. And it really is as simple but as difficult as that. Change your thinking and change your life. Well, we have a habit pattern of thinking, if you will, and that habit pattern is what has brought us to where we're at today. So today, where are you at? Are you experiencing life today at the level that you want to experience it? And if you are, well, bless you. But if you're not, know that there is a creative force in the universe that will support you in changing your life, that has given you all the tools that you need to do it. But you've got to recognize those tools. You have to awaken to that. You have to wake up out of the sleep, if you will, of old thinking, the habitual pattern of understanding that I am subject to the whims and the vagaries of the world out there. And once you realize that, you change that, then all of a sudden I'm not subject to those vagaries. I become the master of my fate, the captain of my soul, so to speak, to quote a poet. And that's the thing. Power of right thinking is such that when you make a demand upon mind, that mind being God, through belief, the thing in which you believe will appear. Now, that's a pretty simplistic statement, but when you think about the power behind that statement, it's really, on some levels, it seemingly is incredible. But it is a matter of belief, but it's not only a matter of belief, it's a matter of experience, of beingness. I mean, we can, as I was saying earlier, people have gotten into and read books on positive thinking, and they go, well, Rev Steve, I'm just not seeing positive thinking create, any outcome in my life. And that's because we read it, we get it up here, but we don't get it here. We don't get the knowingness, the beingness of what it is we're talking about. And that comes in the form of feeling. And that really is kind of a heart level understanding. But, I can think success, but if I don't feel success, life is not going to express as a success for me. And so, I've got to bring my consciousness and my feelings onto a certain level of understanding. So how do we do this? Well, there's many different ways, but an easy way, and this comes from the book that was written by Raymond Hollywell called Working with the Law, and he talks about taking and first setting your intention. You have the intention of what it is, whether it's creating health in your life. If you're experiencing less than optimum health, or you're experiencing less than an optimum relationship or a job environment, whatever, the first thing we do is we create an intention of having it at a better level. And that may be as far as we can go right now. Maybe we can't grasp a perfect level, but we can grasp something better than what we're experiencing today. And that's all you have to do, is just start out. You remember, we talked about earlier about crawling before we walk and walking before we run. So our intention is to make today better than yesterday. And as we do that, we begin to take our intention and we add attention to our intention. And what I mean is, I have the intention of making today a better day, and then I begin to focus my attention on the day with the intention of it being a better day. Better day, keep that thought, work it. When the mind begins to wander, well, we get those thoughts of lack, limitation, or I'm feeling the fear, the worry, or whatever. I take and I refocus my attention on my intention of having a better day. And then I couple that with the third aspect of this, and that is the expectation. And Hollywell, in his book, the way he defines expectation is intention with action, or attention with action. And that's probably a good way of looking at it. But what it is I intend today to be a better day. I focus my intention on it being a better day, and then I work on building my expectation that it's going to be a better day. And we all understand expectation. We have various days or celebrations or moments in our lives where we have an expectation, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, or we're expecting a raise at work, or we're expecting certain grades in our school life. Wherever we're at in our walks of life, we all know and have experienced an experience of expectation. So when I talk about it, if you don't quite get how can I do this for creating whatever it is that I want to create in my life right now, then what I would like for you to do is to find that experience of expectation that you've had in some other area of your life and begin to focus on it. Get that feeling of what that expectation felt like, and then transfer that feeling to where it is that we're working at right now for today. So I bring my intention. I'm going to be, and one of the great old phrases that was used for many years is, every day in every way I am getting better and better and better. And people, they can do this, and you can say it, and if you just say it with just the idea of saying it over and over again, it's probably not going to have a lot of effect. But if I begin to hold an intention that when I say this, it's going to have significance and it's going to have meaning for me, and I'm going to see it manifest in my life. So every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. And I intend that to be so. And then I keep my attention focused on that every day in every way. I'm getting better and better and better. And then I take it to the next step, that next level, and I'm seeing an expectation. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. And just that one thing, if you take that with those three concepts and you put it into practice in your life, you will be empowered to change your life. And you know what? There was nothing that I said there that in any way affected what your current personal beliefs are about God or anything else. And you see, I want to address this, because although in New Thought we do have an understanding that God is everywhere, that God is the all, the absolute. We get many people that come into our centers that come from different religious backgrounds, and they are firmly attached in their hearts and minds to that background. And we can honor that. We can empower them with these tools, and they don't have to give up their personal beliefs. And that's pretty good, I mean, I have a belief I feel is beyond that, but that's my personal belief. But your belief is your belief, and we can respect that, and we can encourage you. And on that note, boy, time is just going by. It's time for another commercial break. I'll see you when we get back.
I cannot believe how expensive funerals are today. Nancy said she spent more than $12,000 on John's service. And And when Mom took ill, we went to Sterling & Smith and prearranged her funeral for less than half of what Nancy spent. Sterling & Smith has a beautiful facility, professional staff, and packages that start below $3,000. It was more than a funeral. It was truly a celebration of life.
At Sterling & Smith, we believe that high-quality service should be affordable to everyone. Let us help you plan for the inevitable. Call us today, because you just don't know about tomorrow.
America's Sub Shop has arrived in the Tower District. Blimpie's is the best place to get delicious sandwiches, salads, baked goods, and smoothies at reasonable prices. You won't believe the great value of Blimpie's $5 combo deals. The fresh baked bread and big bowl taste will bring you in, and the friendly service and great prices will keep you coming back. A Blimpie sandwich is great on your lunch break or as a healthy meal for the whole family. Try Blimpie's today, located directly across from the Tower Theater. We know you'll love it.
Welcome to Voice of the Valley. I am your host, Kathy Wilcox, and two of Kathy's favorite things are going to be featured on the show today. Number one is money. Number two,
fun moves so you can do it.
alcohol! My first guest.
Back and forth ever so gently.
I have to get up. I have to show you this dress because I think it was made for me. Doesn't this just scream Maryland? I'm dressed for my Christmas parade outing, as you can see. Reindeer.
Number one selling wine from Argentina.
Argentina.
Kathy Wilcox, Voice of the Valley, Wednesdays at 2 on Channel 43.
Hi, Bill Carmichael here, manager of Valley Gold Mine Fresno. I'd like to tell everybody that we've relocated to the Tower District at 1212 North Van Ness Avenue. If you have any broken or unwanted jewelry you'd like to get top dollar for, give us a call at 559-970-8660. Also, we're on the web at www.valleygoldminefresno.com. If you're the type that likes to entertain at home, we have some gold parties that we can tell you about. And also, if you have children in schools and they have trouble raising funds, we have a great fundraiser that works as well. Once again, my number is 559-970-8660. Thank you.
This segment is brought to you by David Parker from the law offices of Parker, Kern, Nard, and Wenzel.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Reverend Steve Walling, and gosh darn it, this is the last segment of our show today, and time just goes by so quickly. Now, my background for this segment is this beautiful pool behind me, and I got to tell you, here in Fresno today, the temperature's supposed to get up to 102 degrees. Well, my intention for this afternoon is to find some of that cool water to spend my afternoon in. But anyway, getting back to it, during the break, I was talking to somebody here, and they were telling me that they have always had an understanding of no limits in their life, and how is it that people that see limits in their lives get beyond that level of limitation. And it comes down to making a decision, making a choice, and realizing that I have the power of choice. And this is one of our God-given powers, is the power to make a choice. And there is probably no individual power that is greater in each and every one of us than that power to choose. I can choose whether I react or respond. I can choose whether I'm going to accept this or whether I'm going to be a factor in creating something different in my life. And that's the thing. You know, if you're sitting on the sideline and you're wondering, you know, whoa, life has been whatever it's been for you, and how can I get to this better life? Well, you can get to the better life. You can get to the good. You can get to a no-limit life. And it's just as simple as making a choice. making that decision. I make a decision for my life. I make a decision for me. And, well, you know, you're not going to go from making $5,000 a year to $1 million a year. Maybe you will. Some people, if they can wrap their minds around it. But for most of us, that's a pretty big leap. But you know what? You can wrap your mind around making 20% or 40% more next year than you're making this year. And you do that. And again, intention, attention, expectation, and you put them to use in your life, understanding that there is a truth, there is a law that responds. That law is the universal intelligence. It's the creative force. It is your spiritual father. It is your father, and it is manifest as you, and it works for you by working through you. Not by out there, not by what somebody else does, but by what goes on in and through you. And when you open yourself up to that, you start making those kind of decisions, and then you follow it up. And whether you do some of the affirmations that I mentioned today, whether you go out and you find a new thought center, whether it be religious science, divine unity, divine science, unity, doesn't make any difference. Whether you go online to findacenter.com and find a center near you, or whether you go to newthoughtlibrary.com and you start reading some of the books online, or whether you go to Amazon or if you download Kindle. I mean, the avenues are there when you make the choice. But you have to make the choice. No one can do it for you. But that's what Reverend Ike was talking about so many years ago when he first used and coined the phrase, "You can't lose with the stuff I use." And he used it each and every day, and he taught it to people, and people took those teachings, they were empowered with them, and they put it to use in their lives. And my gosh, that is such an incredible thing. And the thing is, we can talk about changing our lives, we can talk about experience. Don't ever forget the real spiritual component to this, that your walk is never alone. And you have within you the divine spark that is there. And one of the things that we talk about, and I would like to encourage you to take the time every day to find time to be quiet, to quiet the body, to quiet the mind, to open up to intuition, to open up to the good that God can express through you. And you'd be amazed if you just take a little bit, about 15 minutes a day or so, but you dedicate that time. You know, what are you telling yourself when you do that? You're telling yourself that I'm important enough to take that time, and you take that time, you put it in, you quiet the mind, you open yourself up. You take those times to do those affirmations, you take time to read books, you take the power that you have to make that choice to create a better life for yourself. Wow. What you can do with that is just amazing. What I have seen people do with that is incredible. You know, just real quick, there was a study done in the 1970s where some researchers went into a couple of elder care homes. And what they did was, in one home, they went in and they gave each person in the home a plant, and they gave the responsibility for caretaking that plant to the individual. They gave them the power of making decision when they had guests. Where were they going to see the guests? In their room, or were they going to meet them out in a lobby area? They gave them the power of decision for choosing and what movies they were going to watch, when they were going to watch those movies. In the other home, they went in and they gave them a plant, but they told them, don't worry about the plant, the attendant will take care of the plant. And everything that they experienced, the people in the home experienced, was taken care of for them. After the end of the period of time, what they found was the people that in the homes that had the power to make decisions in their lives, they were healthier, they were happier. And in a follow-up study 6 months later, the life expectancy of those people in the homes that had the power of decision was much greater than those that were in the homes that they had no chance of making decisions. decision-making power is very, very important. And it is your power. And you have the power to make that decision right now. And I'm asking you, make that decision right now for yourself. Make that decision for the good in your life. Make that decision for God to work through you so that you can experience such a wonderful creative life. That's what you were intended to do. And along those lines, things that you can do to help support this program is there is a link on the Central Valley Talk webpage for supporting the program. I want to encourage you to click that link, and it takes you, I believe, to a PayPal page where you can donate $1, $5, whatever, to support the program. You can go to the Madera SAC Center, and we have a donation page there where you can make a donation. You can send a donation straight to the center, which is the Madera Spiritual Awareness Center. The address is 218 South D Street in Madera, 93638. You can show up on Sunday and you can put it in the tithe, but when you do, make a note that you are supporting New Thought Talk. We take this show out each week to anybody on the web. That means we can touch anybody in the entire world. This is a powerful teaching, and sometimes we do interviews, sometimes we just teach. And if you have something that you would like to know about, shoot me an email. You can contact me through the Spiritual Awareness Center webpage. We have a contact page there. Send it to Reverend Steve. I want to know about whatever it is, and we'll include it in some of our New Thought Talk shows. And that way that whatever is going on in your life, we can address. You can, if you are interested, and I hope you are, I mentioned you can go to findacenter.com or findacenter.org. No matter where you're at in the world, they have every New Thought Center in their directory that they've been able to find, and contact information, whether it's an address or maybe an address and a phone number. It's available to you there. You can find the center that's nearest you. If it's too far to drive, you can contact them. Oftentimes they have online teaching available to you. Or if that's not an option at this point in time, you can go to the newthoughtlibrary.com, and there you'll find a collection of New Thought literature that was written by many of the pioneers in New Thought. Give you some of the very basic understandings that we teach, and it's just you can put it in you can put it to use in your life, and it's just a really powerful thing. And I'm running out of time, so at this point I want to tell you, as I do each week, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, may the light of God surround you, may the love of God and the presence of God watch over you, because truly, wherever you are, God is, and all is well. You make it a great week, my friends, and I'll see you back here next week.